Uber just finished their 4th annual Only on Uber event with CEO Dara Khosrowshahi and other members of their leadership team, and it got a surprising amount of views here. Good job, guys. But I gotta say, as a driver and courier who first started, my first gig app ever was Uber in 2015. I am, no joke, astounded by the updates that they announced during this event. If you love the app and it's like the best thing ever, and you're a driver or a courier making a lot of money and it's like fantastic, your favorite gig app, or if you're heavily cynical and you're like, this thing stinks, they never do enough things for drivers and couriers, this is the video for you. I watched the entire thing. These are the updates that you want to know. Starting again with Dara Khosrowshahi, CEO of Uber, talking about autonomous vehicles. And they're in 3 marketplaces right now: Phoenix, Austin, and Atlanta. And while Dara said earners on Uber are earning more than ever, with 21 billion earned, the highest quarter of all time, and tips are at an all-time high, he understands, of course, the concerns of AVs, or autonomous vehicles, saying that these AVs are only in a couple of cities here with only a couple of hundred vehicles on the road, considering there is millions of earners on the Uber platform. That drivers are the center of their platform, and he does not see that changing. Even 10 years from now, he said, they actually anticipate having more drivers and couriers. Yeah, that's a concern. It's only in 3 marketplaces right now. We can have that discussion on AVs. But right now, let's turn our attention to the Chief Product Officer, Sachin Kansal, going over actual new earnings opportunities. So Sachin detailed that there's several of these non-delivery tasks that you can do to earn money when you're not even out driving. So either, yes, you're out there and you're, let's say, waiting for a request, you can earn money, but you can do this from anywhere, which is interesting. Number 1, document upload task. So you're going to choose the document category. You're going to select the language of the document, and this is going to help companies train their AI, and that's all you have to do. In this example, it says $1 per task, but again, it's going to take you like 60 seconds. Next is an audio upload task. Interesting, where you talk in like whatever language you can speak, right? And in this example, you simulate like whatever you want. And again, this is going to be used for company AI training, translation, and stuff like that. It says a 50-cent task. I know it's not like a ton of money, but again, it's not going to take a lot of time here. This one says 2.5 minutes required, and that's it. And these new tasks, the earnings are just going to appear as all your other earnings in the earnings tab of your Uber driver app. What is the biggest opportunity right now in 2025? I follow this, and this is like, I don't want you to miss out. So do subscribe so you don't miss out on these earnings opportunities. I follow all the changing stuff in the gig economy. Catering. Catering can pay $30 to $35 plus average per offer, not per hour per offer. So Uber is adding new details for their large orders, catering, called Catering Set Up. So Sachin said, as long as you have a 4-wheeler, like a car, right, like sedan, something like that, you're going to take a catering offer and you opt in just setting up the order. You can sign up for this in the Work Hub. It's catering, right? So it's like standalone catering gig apps, the same thing. You're doing food delivery anyway, but now you can opt in for catering setup specific offers. Now let's turn our attention to their rewards program, because if you have good customer service, they're listening to earners and they're saying like, hey, I should be rewarded for this good customer service. So they're using this advantage mode, which they've had, which can give you an extra 5% earnings and priority access. And Sachin did detail that those on advantage mode earned 20% more per hour than drivers that weren't on advantage mode. Now there's also Uber Pro, their rewards program. So they're merging these two. They're merging advantage mode and Uber Pro Pro to the now new and improved Uber Pro. But now, listen to this, and do drop a like on this video if you're getting value and appreciate me bringing this to you first here. They are lowering, thank you, the thresholds for Uber Pro. And that's something that I've been saying because we saw, let's say, DoorDash lowering thresholds on overall Dasher rating. Now, I would like to see that program expand faster, but that previously had 100 deliveries in 30 days rolling for their highest status. And they lowered that on that new threshold. So now to see Uber lower some of these thresholds, because Sachin said, like, hey, if you're part-time, you just can't hit some of these metrics. But there's also new rewards. There is that 5% Pro perk. That's kind of just a rebranding of that Advantage mode here where yes, you'll get a 5% increase on every single trip. That's, I believe, specifically for rideshare, UberX and other ride types. You get priority rides, so more exclusive trips. You get priority to trip radar, so your tier will help decide who matches, at least in part, with Trip Radar. So gold, platinum, diamond on Uber Pro. Priority to reserve trips. That is for platinum and diamond. Those are higher paying trips. So it'll say like, hey, you can take a ride tomorrow at 9 a.m. Or there's a ride tonight at 8 p.m. So you can kind of plan your day. You can grab that reserved run, again, for those higher tiers. And specifically for Diamond, and they kind of made like an exciting point about this, Diamond drivers will get a free Uber One membership. As we know, the reward for Couriers is the preferred deliveries. This is on Uber Eats Pro. And all of this is going to go into a brand new revamped Pro Hub. Now over to Senior Director of Product Management, Niti Bashambu. There's the new kind of existing delivery heat map for Uber Eats Couriers. We've seen that. That's been live. It just kind of shows micro little heat maps like for different restaurants and stores, specifically like, for their location. But now we see a new rider heat map for rideshare drivers. Now here there's their wait time technology. So you're going to see any surge, that is the per ride bonus, clearly marked in purple here. But new, you're going to see how long it's estimated to wait for a trip. The darker the color, the less time you'll have to wait, as shown here. And Niti detailed that this is available in the US right now. Looking at rideshare with Uber's VP of Engineering, Arathi Vidyasagar, Uber is going to give you more time to accept the offer. Like that little countdown timer when you're getting a ride request, they're going to give you more time there. And in some marketplaces, it's going to be up to a third more time to make that decision. There's new displays for wait times at airports. There's new flight info now detailing a passenger count and a flight count. They're adding trip radar to the airport matching experience. When you're on a rideshare trip, they're adding traffic enforcement icons because they don't want you to obviously get a ticket. You always want to drive safely and responsible, right? We get that. But they're going to have little icons that say if there's a traffic camera on your route. What do you think's been the most impactful change so far? And don't leave this video because probably the most impactful and or most surprising update is still to come. Going back to Niti here, let's go over the batch delivery process for couriers. She detailed on batch deliveries, you couldn't always see all the details as far as the pickup count, stop count, drop-off locations on the actual offer card. So they're expanding that to show you more, I assume, all of that information, stop counts, different icons for your pickup and the drop off. Now looking at their destination filter, the option where you can set a ending destination and it tries to get you offers finishing or headed towards that point. They found it wasn't always flexible enough because sometimes I want to end here. Like say my destination point was my home, right? But you can send me there, yeah, but I still have some time. you don't need to send me there right now. I just want to be there by like 4 p.m., let's say, and it's like 1:30 or 2. Now they have two options for the destination filter, a flexible option and a faster route option. So as mentioned, I don't need to be there right now. I just want to finish there eventually. You can select flexible route versus, yes, if I want to head there as fast as possible, I gotta, pick up my kid, I gotta be there for an appointment, whatever, then I'll choose the faster route option. Now turning our attention to Group Product Manager, Mariana Estevez. Safety is always paramount, especially on the mobility or rideshare sector. As I told you, that was my first gig app I ever downloaded. It was Halloween weekend here in Pittsburgh, Uber Rideshare. And as a male driver, even like myself, I was still a little unsure. My parents were certainly unsure about having strangers in your vehicle. And this was back in 2015 when none of these safety features existed. They had stuff, but it wasn't like this. Mariana is framing this for female drivers and passengers, and they introduced women rider preferences. With this toggle feature, women drivers can set a preference to match with women riders. Now, of course, safety is for everyone, not just, women drivers and passengers. So that's why they introduced this next feature, rider ratings preference. And I think this in particular, now as someone who doesn't really do rideshare anymore, let me know kind of your favorite niche in the gig economy. I'd love to hear that. I like this, where you can set a minimum rating that you want to get ride requests from. They also have safety features like Record My Ride, which during that rideshare ride, you can use the front camera on your phone to record the interior of the vehicle, which I think is a fantastic feature there. And they've also enabled rider identification verification. So that rider is going to go through extra additional screenings, like uploading their ID or whatever it is, and it's going to have a check mark that they've gone through that rider verification process. And that's gone so well that they're expanding that rider identification to cash trips. They do have that on Uber now, but package delivery and alcohol delivery. Now let's hear updates from VP of Product Management, Jay Raghunathan. Wait till you hear some of these updates. So for riders, if you're on a trip, right, on rideshare, and on rideshare especially, I feel like you don't want to be waiting for the person to come out of the house or whatever. You're sitting there and pick up. Yes, you get paid a little bit for wait time, but not much. Or if there's traffic or something took longer on that trip. So now Uber announced delayed ride guarantee. Anytime a ride from pickup to drop off is delayed by 5+ minutes, you're guaranteed a fare increase. I will say it's kind of the same thing as wait time pay. So I'd look at how much are they paying you for that delayed ride extra, because you still want it to be worth it for the time that you're waiting, or in this case will be delayed. Now on iOS, and I believe they might be adding this to Android, but I know this feature is probably an iOS thing, the live notifications. So it's kind of like a priority notification. It pops up on your home screen on iOS. They would typically use this for passengers tracking their ETA for their ride. So they're in the car or they're waiting for the driver, let's say, and on the home screen, it'll say ETA for 3 minutes for your driver arriving. Now Uber's adding live activities for tipping, where the customer on that home screen front and center will get a pop-up encouraging a tip, because after that ride, and I would hope this is for delivery as well, it's like you move on with your day, you may forget about tipping. So that's nice to say. Wait until you hear this next one though. This is the point in the video where I was blown away and I had an audible reaction to what was said. Tipping, right? There's nothing more painful on Uber Eats, because especially on Uber Eats, I feel like it's easier for the customer to change the tip, right? They can edit the tip, and they can lower the tip all the way down to 0 if they want, and or without a reason. Uber just announced a tip guarantee. If you see this, it says guaranteed and it says including tip. Uber will cover the difference. Uber will cover the difference if that tip is changed. I have been calling for tip baiting protection, like when the customer zeroes out a really big tip for like no reason, especially for years. Every app should have tip baiting protection. Instacart has had it for like $10. I don't know if they still have that thing, but Uber said, if you see this guaranteed flag here, they will cover the difference if the customer changes the tip. I'll certainly try to get you more info on this. Like, are there thresholds? Is it only 4 times? They don't give a reason. How often am I going to see this guaranteed flag, etc.? So make sure to subscribe. I'll let you know. This is actually impactful. This is a real improvement. And kudos to Uber. Like, I know they say, hey, we're listening to earners. They have roundtables. They have their Uber crew groups where it's like staff and then drivers, and they come together on these Uber crew programs. They do surveys. They do one-on-ones. And I know if you're in the camp of being cynical, like, I get it. We need to have a healthy amount of cynicism, right? These are actual impactful updates. Like, of course, this is not perfect. Like, they're not doing everything perfect here, but the vibe that I got from this event is like, they're at least they're putting in effort and they are listening here. I mean, this tip guarantee thing, I'm really excited to see how this rolls out. Next, cancellations for things outside of your control. A restaurant is closed, or you might have had this happen. Another courier picked it up. So like, yeah, someone already came and picked up the order for Dave, sorry. So any cancellations that are for those things outside of your control will no longer affect your completion rates or any metrics. And then lastly, Dara came back up here to finish up this presentation, detailing fraud on the platform and something that I actually got on my profile in the last couple of days. You probably already got this. And if not, let me know. If you did get this, again, let me know. They're doubling down on fraud. So they're sending out prompts again to re-upload a profile picture and your ID for everyone. And I thought that was really weird. I'm like, why is the Uber app asking me to upload a profile picture again? Like, did my account get hacked or something? My ID? And what I thought was really interesting is I could not upload a image, like a pre-done image, because I wanted to upload a nicer picture of myself. But I did not find a way to do that. It was just a live selfie. So that's another layer of security to make sure, like, hey, you got to take a live selfie picture for your profile picture. Again, it doesn't look great, but then matching that to your ID. And then lastly, for deactivations here, because I don't want anyone to lose their accounts if they have evidence that they shouldn't have been deactivated. So Doris said, because this is following up to 2024, last year's event, where they brought deeper features for deactivation appeals. But now Doris says, if you can prove specifically with evidence, we want you to have evidence here. That's why he encouraged using that record my ride feature. But if you have evidence against a false claim, they'll actually permanently remove the rider in that case from making a false claim. Now, if you were deactivated with reason, and Dara mentioned like alcohol IDs. So if you're not checking IDs on alcohol runs, you keep doing it, you're going to get warnings. Instead of deactivating your entire account, they'll just deactivate a certain earnings type. So if you weren't verifying IDs on alcohol runs, I mean, again, you should be doing that, obviously, you'll lose access to that earnings mode, not the entire platform. These are massive updates. So here's my verdict only on Uber, at least my preliminary verdict here. I gotta say, as someone who's listened to every Only on Uber events, every quarterly call for the past X amount of years, I don't even know, who has been on the platform for 10 years now. And I've done basically every app and niche. I think compared to years prior that they're actually listening, that they're actually sending down improvements that are substantial improvements. Not just like, oh, we came out with a new interface, which they did, by the way, a new home screen and stuff like that. But it's not just that. It's the tasks, like the at-home tasks, deactivation protections, the tip guarantee thing is huge. and everything else that we mentioned here. On the other side, of course, it's not perfect. I'm not going to say it's a perfect company. They're doing the best things. Yes, you want like base pay increases. You want more order volume. You want better quality of orders. You want it to be easier to get into the rewards program. You might not even want a rewards program. You might just want like a flat playing field, as well, frankly, we had, 8-10 years ago and no rewards program, especially compared to years prior. I'll say that, especially compared to years prior. I think these are substantial real updates. And of course, we need to test it in practice. This is what I do here. So I just got the new Uber driver home screen and all that. So let's continue to test these apps. Let me know which one of these you think are actually helping. Good, bad. What'd you think of this only on Uber event?